I'm Michelle Mustone, and along with my co-host, Sara McCombs, I'd like to welcome to our show, You Get the Gist, a show where we hope to give you the flavor of the works of some people in our midst and get an insight into their creative processes and personalities. This morning, I'd like to welcome our first guest, Professor Francois-Xavier de Costerd. Welcome.
Good morning, Michelle. Good morning, Sara.
Hi.
How are you?
The course you teach here at Endicott is Media Aesthetics. Can you tell us a little bit about that course?
Intro to Media Aesthetics. So in that class, we talk about aesthetic elements that as they relate to media, be it films, television series, things on the online, any kind of media that's on screen. We talk about the composition, the colors used, the framing, lenses, motion, the z-axis, all those good things that help you understand what you're looking at, how your perception is shaped when you watch a film or a television series.
What made you decide you wanted to teach?
Well, I mean, the question is whether to be an artist or whether to earn a living. I guess when you are in my position, you have to have, you know, some kind of income. So I've been teaching film classes, post-production, and this is also something that I do. Mm-hmm. And I've made good contacts at this school. I've been welcomed, so I'm really glad I came to Endicott.
Can you tell us a little bit about your background in terms of your own education?
Well, I studied at the School of Museum of Fine Arts. I got a post-bac and my MFA there. And I went in my post-bac as a photographer / painter. But when I came out on the other side, after 3 years and some teaching experience, I was not just a photographer anymore. I was more of a video artist and a filmmaker.
Did that evolve through classes that you took or people that you connected with more? Yes,
I think you are really encouraged over there to kind of cross-pollinate between departments and really test out what your strengths are and see what you are, you know, really enthused about. I did have this painting studio with Jerry Bergstein over there, and it was really fun, and you know, I did lots of interesting work. But I think that I was really drawn to the motion images and the pictures. Actually, one of my first work of a video was just a series of photographs that had a sort of a narrative. And from that, I went into more video and film.
So it grew off the page?
I like the film vibe of the department more than the video vibe. The video was super experimental and very performance-driven. Sort of, in the film it was much more narrative or documentary.
Are there schools of style in, everybody's familiar with Impressionists and Cubists and everything, in video work? Are there schools of style that you would associate with, or?
Not necessarily. I mean, my work now deals with more installed work, where it's not just a picture on a wall on the screen. So it's hard to say. I mean, everything is so post-modern, everything. So I don't think that people want to be boxed into a special movement or school, although now it's sort of difficult to see what's going on in terms of, you know, movements or groups of that kind. I'm not sure I belong to any of that. You'd have to live in New York to be in one of those cliques.
Or start one here.
That's right. But I do have a crit group every month, and these grew out of after the thesis, you know, the graduate school ended. We started getting together, and we've been recruiting. As people move out of the area, we get people in, and it's a great way to get some support, get some feedback, talk about your work, and you know, 2 people go every month to talk about what they're doing and show it to the group. So that's a really good way to keep current. Yeah. And I guess we're our own little clique.
Congratulations.
We could call ourselves something.
Something I noticed in your work, you have a lot of children's toys and things revolving around children. What made you decide to use children in a lot of your work?
The pictures you might have seen are a part of an earlier body of work that I did when I was in grad school. and I was using my daughter as a model. Part of it was because she was very accessible. I didn't have to book her.
Right.
But also part because she was just on the edge of ending small childhood and going into the next phase of growing up. I thought that was very interesting. And these toys were very telling as to what she was interested in as a little child. And I was always trying to put her in a more growing up sort of situation, looking at other things other than her toys, looking at places around her, and her condition as a small human being. So that's what we were doing. And she became an active participant when I started making 16mm film also. She was, again, a very accessible model that I could use. And you might have seen a picture of her where she's holding a toy gun. There was a whole series of where we were running around a lot, we chased and things. So it was really fun for her, and for me it was really interesting to work with her.
I think we have some samples of those, so we'll be running those. I think there's a picture up showing right now of her with the gun, and we have other feed that we'll show. Can you talk a little bit about your process of your current work? I know you brought one of your notebooks about how you develop your projects.
In the notebook I have notes that are either conceptual, dealing with just concepts and ideas as to where to go next, or questions that I have where I'm at now. And I also have lots of notes that deal with purely technical things, trying to resolve issues that deal with, I don't know, resolution, all sorts of recording and things between different cameras. When we did the show at MIT, the big installation, for Voices Without Faces, I was tasked with recording a drive from Cape Cod to New Hampshire on Route 28. And that I was approached because my thesis had dealt with the same kind of imagery in Boston. And I had a point of view shot in the center channel and some montages and things going by on the side channels. And we did the same sort of thing at MIT, but the challenges that I was faced were tenfold, because I was dealing with video loops that were 4 hours long to do the drive, all in high definition. And being a one-man show, it's very difficult not to have an assistant or somebody who can help you with the technology. And at the last minute, I changed cameras too, so that was something. It ended up looking much better.
So when you do an installation means you go to a place and you take over the space.
Yes, I mean, at the museum we had help from their technical department. They ordered projectors and they prepped the room. We asked them to paint. I asked them to paint the room a certain gray so that the imagery would pop, because I knew they could not turn off their spotlights. There are regulations to have some kind of illumination in a museum like this. When you go to a gallery and you see some kind of video, you can be in a pitch black room. Usually artists love that because your image has really the best definition it can have. But over there was a constant battle between the people who wanted to keep those spotlights on, those yellow spotlights everywhere.
How was the relationship between art and science? Being at the Museum of Science, did they respect your?
Yes, the person in charge of the special projects is actually a former film documentary person, and she was really eager to have my collaborator come in and interview all sorts of people. He did 250 interviews. That these answers and voices are weaved into the composition and the music. And as you are sitting down and watching the landscape go by, you listen to this conversation, and it becomes this very deep meditation about the race experience in Massachusetts.
I think we have a clip of that. Maybe we can show that now, and you can talk a little bit about that as they show some of the images.
what
So
you
this show
think
was
someone
up,
might be, what you think someone might be like.
But it
more than
says
almost
that
5
only
months.
certain human beings
And
assume that
so
we
it was
are.
in the upper
But
gallery
it
there
says that we are
at the Museum of Science. It's a
What
great
you see.
room, but it was obviously not really designed for large-scale projection. So we had them prep the walls, and we had to deal with this partition. This was not going anywhere. So the main projector was going over that. This is sort of the imagery that I generated for the side channel. What we ended up doing is that the conversation was such a meditative kind of experience. I had to slow down everything quite a bit because the imagery was really rushing when you're going down the road at 50, 60 miles an hour. Even if you crop kind of high and you don't show as much road, you still feel like you're going really fast. And that wasn't quite jiving with the conversation. So I really had to slow down a lot and make the experience a lot more contemplative. And I think that works. And this sort of imagery, like the blur, is really to kind of take out this rush of really close by scenery, which make it feel like you're going really fast. But these video loops were very, very long. So it was like editing 3-4 hour movies. Obviously, the editing is minimal for some of for the center channel, for instance, because you're just going. But with the way I was recording, with the camera I was recording, I was limited to 11-minute files. So I had to kind of seamlessly blend. I had a remote that I was timing myself. Every time I was approaching 11 minutes, I had to make a digital cut and restart a new file. So I had to be judicious sometimes as to when to do that.
So you faced some obstacles with your technology too that
Right.
you had to overcome at work.
The learning curve was steep on trying, but I think it was worth it because the image on that, the center channel is 30 feet wide, 35 feet wide. And I knew it was going to be really blown up. So if I didn't have a really good camera, it would have shown. And the first camera that I started with was really buzzing, and the images were totally blurry from the road vibrations.
How did you choose your scene? Is this main road that you've been on before and you've been looking at things, or how did you choose that route? This came out of the museum. Somebody had an idea that Route 28 really crosses the states north to south. Why don't we do that? Because the road actually goes through Boston and right in front of the museum. So you see some imagery where you see we're approaching downtown Boston here, and sometimes you actually drive right past the Museum of Science. Great. Okay, I think that's all we have time for right now in this segment. So thank you for sharing that with us, and we're going to take a break, and we'll be back in a moment.
All right.
Thank you.
This is the Endicott College Pep Band, and you're watching ECTV.
One of the questions that I have is, what are common obstacles that an artist faces before becoming successful, or what do you think your students will expect before they can really get out there?
It's a long road. It can be pretty lonely, actually, but it can be very rewarding, sometimes in very unexpected ways. I think that if you go in expecting that you are going to be this really kick-ass artist and sell lots of stuff, that's probably not going to happen. It needs to, over time, build, and I think that for me, what's really worked is to actually meet other artists and see if I can collaborate with them. Some people are really good at making certain connections. Some people are less, outgoing and easy as far as getting their foot in the door. But I think that the obstacles that you face are, whether you negotiate certain things.
Personal obstacles.
Yeah. I think for me, I was not coming from an artist background. I'm 42 years old, and we have some history in common. Yeah, I know you're a lawyer. I was in business. I was a consultant. And I think that even though that career was financially rewarding, I couldn't see myself doing that for the next 25 years. I think that was really what made me go back to school and, you know, take a huge pay cut when you do that. But I don't know, you can find maybe some rewarding things in where you can do both. If you can get a job in motion pictures or television, you will have medical benefits and all that stuff, maybe.
Do you have an agent, or do you sell your own work? Or because there's a side of you who's an artist.
Right.
And what's the business side? Who does that for you?
I am my own agent at this point.
Okay, how's that going for you?
You want to be. No, I think that, you know, I've sold a bunch of things, but at this point I'm much more interested in projects that are going to get me some more interesting installations. I'm less focused on selling paintings and photographs.
More about the process, maybe.
Yeah, I think what we did at the museum was really an eye-opener for me, and I want to do more of this sort of projects.
How do those type of projects and your artwork now connect with your teaching?
I think that, well, these sort of projects are kind of experimental, but I did show something in class the other day that was an experiment of from the it's MIT Cyber Arts that we did in 2009, where I had faces of children that we had interviewed. They were all layered, so we were talking about superimpositions and things like that. So I showed a quick clip and I explained how the software I was using was working to emphasize certain images over the things using the music.
So part of the technical aspects that you're learning as you're going along, you're sharing with your students. Great. Now we come to a portion of the show we call the List for the Gist, where we ask all of our guests the same questions.
Really?
You ready?
Oh yeah.
What is your favorite book and why?
I have to say that recently I haven't had time to read as much, but this past summer I read a French book called La Carte et le Territoire, which would be the map and the territory, by Michel Houellebecq, and it's a novel, but it's about an artist who doesn't quite know what he's doing. He's out of school and things, and he gets picked up, and it's really a story of his whole career as he becomes famous, and then he grows old, and finally he dies. Actually, I don't want to give away too much, but
that's giving away.
The observations that he makes about the contemporary art world and the French society are great, because it's really fun.
Is it in French?
Yeah, but this author is really translated in a lot of languages.
So it might be available to our students.
Yeah, I think so.
At what age did you become an adult, and what happened to make it so?
I think probably when my daughter was born. That's probably, I mean, not right when she was born, but as she started growing up, I had to become an adult there, yeah. Think for less just for myself.
Who do you think has it easier, men or women, and why?
Men or women? I have no idea. I think probably men, because of all the obstacles women still face in, you know, the Western society, and even in other societies. Actually, it's usually more male-dominated. Yeah.
What is whether you heeded it or not, what do you think the best advice is you ever got?
If I don't heed it, well, how could it be good?
Well, you might have realized later,
it was very good,
as you often do. You know what? They were really spot on. I should have listened to that.
I honestly can't think of anything, because I usually walk to the drum of my own beat. I think, you know, I didn't get a lot of support to go back to art school, and I had to fight the law and really believe in myself. But I met a lot of encouraging and supportive people, and that is really, the museum school is really the one that I'm closest to out of all the schools I've been to.
So not taking advice was probably the best option for you at that juncture.
Yeah, listen to that little voice that really is telling you what you want to do.
Right, listening to
But if that little voice is saying, you know, just don't do anything and watch TV and play games, that's probably not the voice. That little voice is probably telling you should get off the couch. Right.
If you could have anything written on your tombstone, what would it be?
I have no idea. I think,
inspirational quotes.
We all loved him very much. He will be missed. I don't know. I really can't think of something clever to say that. Je suis un aspirateur. Is that what Michel Duchamp would say?
But not at that moment.
He was a vacuum, and everything went through him.
Oh. Interesting. Vacuum. Okay. All right. Well, that's the end of our show. And as usual, we hope you get the gist.